Kirby, are you in there? Oh, there you are.
We'll call this meeting to order. Can I get an approval of the agenda with an amended, revised ratification of Personnel Action Report 2021-12A certificated?
I make a motion to approve the agenda with the change for item 8B, ratification of Personnel Action Report 2021.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. We are now going to convene to closed session. Item 3A, conference with labor negotiator Myra Perez, Robert Marical, organization SEIU and RIPSIA. Item B, special education settlement agreement confidential. And item 3C, public employee performance evaluation superintendent. Let's see how bad I can screw this up. Reconvene to open session. Action taken was approval of item 3B, Special Education Settlement Agreement Confidential. The vote was 3-0 in favor. And I also need to mention that we are missing 2 trustees tonight, Trustee Brown and Trustee Chimino. Okay. Yes. Oh, Michelle made the motion, and I seconded. Thank you. Flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any public comments tonight? No. Item 7, communications. Emily King is not available tonight. We'll move to the revised consent agenda. Items 8A through 8C. Can I get a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda, items 8A through 8C.
Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Item 9, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay, sorry. Item 9, educational services, California Schools Dashboard Local Indicators.
Yes, this is an annual report of our local indicators. The purpose of the local indicators on the dashboard is to address the areas for the local control funding formula priority areas for which data is not collected at the state level. And these include priority 1, appropriately assigned teachers, access to curriculum-aligned instructional materials, and safe, clean, functional schools, facilities. Under priority 2, implementation of state academic standards. Priority 3 is parent engagement. Priority 6 is school climate. Priority 7 is access to a broad course of study. So we are presenting these local indicators. We have made progress towards them. And in all 5 of these areas, we meet the progress performance. And so this item is an informational item to update the board on our local performance indicators.
Does anybody have any questions or comments?
This is 9A, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we will move on to item 10A, Resolution 2021-19, requesting fund transfer from Sonoma County Treasurer under Article, I don't know my Roman numerals, I'm sorry, Section 6 of the state constitution.
Okay, this is one of the annual items that we do every June. And basically, it allows us to temporarily borrow cash from the county, Sonoma County Treasurer. With this, it allows us to go cash negative through the year. Our revenues come in on an uneven manner, with the largest amounts coming in December and in April. But our cash goes out pretty regularly due to payroll and other expenses. So we reach a point every year where we actually are cash negative, and this allows us to go cash negative. And this is only in effect up through the last Monday in April. So that covers us from the beginning of the year through April. Are there any questions?
Any questions or comments? Can I get a motion to approve 10A, Resolution 2021-19?
I'll motion that we approve agenda item 10A, resolution 2021-19.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call.
Pardon me?
It's a
It's a
resolution.
roll call.
Oh, it just says action. It doesn't say resolution. Sorry. Roll call, please.
Trustee Gillis?
Yes.
Trustee Nelson?
Yes.
Trustee Wing?
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't see that. 11A, public disclosure and ratification of the tentative agreements with SEIU dated June 10th, 2021.
Yes, we're really pleased that we've reached agreement with SEIU, a tentative agreement, which is the Services Employees International Union, so that you're aware of the acronym. This is reflective of 1.84 retroactive to July 1, 2019, and 2% retroactive to July 1, 2020. And we've adjusted the salary schedule to reflect minimum wage. So we're really pleased that we've reached agreement with SEIU and seeking approval tonight.
Are there any questions or comments?
Nope.
If not, can I get a motion to approve 11B adoption, or excuse me, 11A, public disclosure SEIU dated June 10th?
I'll make a motion to approve 11A.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? None. 11B, adoption of local control accountability plan, Lcap 2021 to 22.
Yes. So what we are bringing here is a request for the board to adopt the 2021-2022 Lcap. I had presented it at our previous meeting. There were minor changes to the final document, mostly related to specification of metrics in Goal 2. And this item is our LCAP. We have set goals for 3 years, and the LCAP includes the budget overview for parents, which simplifies the understanding of the budget. Included as well in this item is the annual update for the 2019-2020 LCAP, and the 2020-2021 Learning Continuity and Attendance Plan update. And so this is an item requesting that the board approve our LCAP.
Do we have any questions or comments? If not, can I have a motion to approve 11B, adoption of the LCAP plan for 21-22?
I motion that we accept agenda item 11B, adoption of the local control accountability plan, LCAP 2021.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Item 11D, Resolution 2021-24, approving the district spending plan for education protection account funds for 2021 and 22.
Did we skip C?
What did I do? Sorry. I'm just not doing well tonight. We're going to do 11C, adoption of 2021-22 budget. No, he's going to run.
Okay, we're able to present to the board the proposed budget for adoption for the 2021-22 school year. Should say that at the beginning there. And I put together a couple slides for the board. The proposed budget is in line with the LCAP that you just approved. These things go together, and that's why we always present them with the LCAP first and the budget second. The LCFF formula was implemented in 2013-14, and a key part of that was having the local control accountability plan. And with that, you just approved that has goals and related expenditures that align with the budget. And these are presented at the public hearing, which we did at the last meeting prior to the adoption to allow discussion and input. And the final LCAP and proposed budget are both presented tonight for final adoption and approval. So the proposed budget contains the most updated information and includes the governor's May revision proposal. The legislature has submitted their budget proposal to the governor for 2021-22. And it could potentially provide additional funding and also allow us to reduce some of our expenditures for schools, mainly in the PERS and STIRS rates. So in the timeline now with the state, basically the governor will work with the legislature, and it's up to them to come to an agreement on the final budget. The May revision was the governor's proposal. The legislature has theirs, and now they need to work it out. The governor has until June 30th to sign the budget, and then the district will have 45 days to update the budget for any significant changes. So it's not an automatic thing, but if only something significant with the final budget, that we need to make those changes. So a couple things we really want to focus on and kind of keep on the board's radar. We have enrollment. It's reported by the schools, and they're showing a slight increase from our current numbers. However, it is a difficult time. We're coming out of distance learning. We're really uncertain with a lot of the enrollment trends, what they're going to be looking like. And so we're going to continue to budget flat at this time, which is what this budget projects, meaning we're not going to be showing a decline or an increase. At month 2 enrollment, then the ADA gets trued up, and that gets reflected in the budget. In this budget, we also have the statutory and funded COLA. And the statutory COLA is 1.7%. Now, you always keep in mind there's a difference between statutory and funded. And while it's 1.7%, the governor is proposing to fund a compounded COLA at the 5.07%. And that's applied to the Lcf formula. Excuse me. STRS and PERS continue to be an issue.
We're counting on that, right?
Yes. It'd be very unlikely that will change.
Okay.
To be lower, if to go lower, there's a chance they may put a little bit more money towards it, but I think the 5.07 is a good number to work with. STRS and PERS, the state is proposing to pay down the rates in 21-22, but 22-23, the following year, they're projected to increase substantially. STRS rates are expected to stabilize after that, and these again are reflected in our numbers. We're really going to see a spike in our expenditures next 22-23, and then it kind of levels off from there. One of the other things we have to watch is our property and liability insurance. This is the 3rd year in a row that the rates have increased substantially. This year, premiums increased by $244,000, or 29%. A lot going on in the marketplace right now, particularly in the level of reinsurance. It's those additional layers above that we buy, that the groups buy. And also factored in that is the total insured value, all of our assets and properties in the district. And then our claim experience also gets factored in. So that was all part of the reason we had a pretty substantial increase in that.
Robert, isn't the SUI rate going from like 0.50 to some like crazy, like tripling?
That's a good lead-in
Sorry.
that you have here. Let me talk about health and welfare, and then I'll get to the SUI
Sorry,
rates.
thank you.
No, it's fine, thank you. So health and welfare is also one of those items that we need to keep an eye on. We're particularly talking about our premiums for our health insurance. The rates did go up 5%. We were projecting a 3% increase is what we use in our budget models. So the areas that I just talked about, property and liability, health and welfare, and then the SUI that we're going to talk about now, all came in higher than what we were using in our projections. So that had a negative impact on our budget overall. SUI rates, state unemployment, we've had the 0.05% for several years. It did get increased to 1.23%. While that doesn't sound like a whole lot of money or a whole lot of difference in percentage, our rates basically, the dollar value went up from about $17,000 district-wide to $395,000. So that's a pretty substantial increase. After the 21-22, we're really looking at that to not fully go back to the 0.05, but at a 0.2%, which is better than the 1.23. So all of that has impacted the budget. The good news is the proposed budget does meet the minimum reserve level requirements in 21-22 and the 2 subsequent years. So this is just a snapshot on our revenues. It shows them by major objects, which the board is used to seeing these categories. And we have our Lcf Sources there. federal revenues, state, local. Total revenues for the budget, $71,775,168. And the graph here kind of reflects that. Obviously, you can see our largest source is the LCFF. That's our main source of general fund revenues. That's the one that's driven by the formula, ADA, and those types of things. COLA, all those gets factored into that formula. Expenditures, we have $72,163,554. And you can see, obviously, the bulk of that is salaries and benefits. About 82% of the total general fund is related to those categories. This is what it looks like in a graph form. And you can see the certificated salaries. Obviously, we have most of our staff are certificated, so they're going to be the largest piece of the pie. Classified and the salary-related employee benefits take up 82% of the graph. So I want to focus a little bit on this. This is our multi-year projections. And what this basically does is kind of give the last 2 years, the 2021 column there is kind of our year to date, so those numbers aren't final. However, the last 3 columns are the budget that the board will be looking at tonight with that. I want to focus on midway down in the net increase decrease. This is always an area that we want to look at. I remind the board when we're looking at multi-year projections, we always want to look at, are we deficit spending or do we have a surplus? And then we want to look at the reserve levels, which we'll look at after this. But you can see for the budget year, 21-22, we do have a deficit of $388,000. And it is a deficit, but it is not anything to be overly worried about at this point. However, when we do look at 22-23, you can see that numbers does jump up substantially. And part of that has to do with the STRS increase, which will be going into effect for that year. And the rest of it is just a matter of our expenditures outpacing our revenues that are coming in. However, in the third year out, you can see that the deficit does drop down to $320,000. And at the bottom line, we are maintaining the 4% board reserve in all 3 years, which is good news on that. So I feel pretty good about the budget. We need to keep an eye on the 22-23 year. Be a good task for the budget committee to kind of tackle and kind of keep an eye on as we move forward with that. So areas of financial concern. We also obviously want to keep an eye on our enrollment. We are projecting flat enrollment, as I said. However, if it does, when we get up and start school, that second month enrollment, we start to see a continued decline that will result in lower revenues.
When you say second month, are you speaking of September?
August, September, usually September, October numbers are the ones we really want to focus on.
Okay, thank you.
State funding with COLA. So we want to continue to look at the COLA. The projections that we use are from the School Services dartboard for estimated COLA, and those will change. There's no doubt, and we're hoping that they will stay pretty much where they're at, or actually increase, which would help us. I already talked about STRS and PERS, and then reminder that we have competing interests for our dollars, right? Any new dollars coming in, there's a lot of need for that. So I call it the competing interest that we have. Obviously, future salary negotiations. We're not settled for 21-22, so that's going to continue to be something we need to look at. Containing special ed costs, always a concern. Funding future technology. And then we just get a general increase in the cost of doing business. We're all feeling that as consumers right now, and as we are a business, the cost of us doing business is also going to be going up as a result of that. And then you never know what's unanticipated out there, right? We don't set money aside necessarily for that. We have some in the reserve. That's why we have the reserve, but things come up along the way. And then we do want to try to build up or maintain our general fund reserve. What we've seen is when we have a low reserve and things kind of go sideways with state funding, then we don't really have a lot to fall back on. So a reserve is very important and something that we need to continue to look at building up. So this other part of the budget is reserve requirements that we have. Senate Bill 858, there was some language in there for a reserve cap. And as part of that, we need to report out as part of the budget on anything that is above the minimum reserve level of 3%. And then we need to give some of the reasons why it's above that. So you probably can't see this document. I apologize for that. We'll get a copy of the presentation out to you. But basically, it outlines our general fund reserves, including our Fund 17 reserve. And it basically looks at how much of that is above the required 3%. And it makes note of it on here. And that's basically what we're doing is making, publicly showing what amounts we have above the 3% minimum reserve. And some of the reasons why we need a minimum reserve above the 3%. Current level of reserve would fund less than 2 months of payroll. Okay, we are uncertain on the future enrollment trends. We talked about that. Uncertainty and volatility of special ed costs. We need to maintain positive cash flow to reduce borrowing costs. And we saw a little bit of that this year, particularly with the deferrals, and we had the board approved a couple trans that we did, which would have cost money if we had to implement those. Fortunately, we didn't, but that we need a positive cash flow to reduce borrowing costs. One thing we tend to overlook too is when we go out or do a bond rating, even though we don't go out for a bond, they're looking at and reevaluating where we're at, and we get a bond rating at any time. And with that, we need to be able to maintain our solid budget in order to get a good bond rating. A lower bond rating will affect the cost of the bond, and therefore will cost more for the taxpayers. And we also have noted we haven't settled negotiations with that. Current future stirs PERS cost, and a higher reserve level is needed with full funding of LCF. There's a lot of volatility in a budget, particularly when you depend on the state for your finances. The state's very highly dependent on the income tax and capital gains tax. It's a very volatile source of revenue, and things can go sideways at any time. And then we also want to make sure and ensure that we're not going to be cutting staff, right? Because we don't have enough money. So we do need a larger reserve to prevent cutting current staff and programs when, not if, the next economic downturn happens. So next steps in the process, after the state adopts and enacts their budget, the district will adjust their budget for any changes. We need to look at and I apologize for the dates are off a little bit here, 21-22 enrollment. We need to determine the impact on the budget, if any. Final staffing. So we still haven't finalized staffing and implemented all that in the budget. So we still have some work to do when we get people in place and get them into where they belong and the costs associated with that. And then I also remind the board that the adopted budget is an estimated beginning fund balance, or ending fund balance, beginning fund balance for the 21-22, and that will be trued up at unaudited actuals in September. So the number that we have now is lower, and when we do unaudited actuals, the number will come in higher. So that'll give us a little bit more reserve. And then, of course, we need to continue to monitor and revise the budget throughout the year based on the most current information, and the board does get a snapshot of that each month, which we're doing now. So, okay.
So Robert?
Yes, sir.
We get the reports on the closed fiscal year in September?
Correct. Unaudited actuals is due by September 15th.
Okay, and when do you actually close the year?
We're actually going to be starting closing next week.
Okay.
And then into July, and then it takes all the way through up to September for that process to happen.
Okay.
So a little plug here. I just wanted to recognize the business office for their ongoing commitment to the district. This is displayed in the quality of their work that they do. I've been very blessed to have a great staff to work with. I also want to especially thank Ray Poole and Molly Kohler for putting together the budget. They're the ones that do a lot of the work behind these reports, putting the numbers in, putting it all together. And then a special shout out to Ray Poole. She's retiring June 30th also. I want to thank her for all that she's done. She keeps the business office running smoothly, and has done a great job for the last 5 years. So I just want to publicly acknowledge her and thank her. Are there any other?
Yeah. We want to say thank you to you, Robert. We're going to miss you. We're very grateful that you came. It's been a rough time that you've been here, I know. It's kind of been crazy. So I'm glad you're retiring, but we're going to miss you.
Thank you. It's been a good 3 years. I've seen a lot of good things happening in the district, and I think I feel like we're really moving in a good direction right now. So keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the budget?
Yeah. Nobody has any questions or comments?
No.
Okay.
Thank you, Robert.
Sure.
Can I get a motion to approve 11C, adoption of the 2021-22 budget?
I'll make a motion to approve 11C, adoption of the 2021-22 budget.
Can I get a second?
I will second that.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, none. 11D, Resolution 2021-24, approving the district spending plan for education protection account funds for 2021-22.
Okay, so this is also part of a requirement that we need to do. It was part of Proposition 30. If you recall, Proposition 30 was a voter-approved initiative which provided additional tax revenues directly going to school districts. It was called the Education Protection Account. And part of that is we're required to report out annually how we plan on spending those dollars. So this report is here. We are estimating about $2.18 million in EPA funds. It's important to note that this does not represent new funds. It's part of the LCFF formula that we get on that. And we're also excited to report out that, as we've done every year, these funds go directly for salaries and benefits of our teachers. So, any questions?
It does say that the exact amount won't be known until summer 2022.
That's correct. So right now we're working off estimates in the LCFF formula, including our estimated COLA and estimated ADA. And once we close the books, then we'll know exactly how much of that is for the EPA fund. The funding source also changes from the state. So we have an estimate now. Either way we look at it, the money goes directly to teacher salaries.
Any more questions or comments? If not, can I get a motion to approve 11D, Resolution 2021-24?
A motion that we approve agenda item 11D.
Thank you.
Resolution 2021-24.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Gillies?
Yes.
Trustee Nelson?
Yes.
Trustee Wing?
Yes.
On to 11E, approval of CSBA agreement for governance consulting services.
Yes, on request of the board, we're entering an agreement with CSBA Consulting Services. Ms. Luann Rivera will provide the Good Beginnings workshop on September 8th and 9th in the afternoon for the governance team, and this is being funded by the Sonoma County Office of Education, so I'm really appreciative of being able to have this wonderful workshop courtesy of SCOW. And you can see we will be discussing unity of purpose, roles, responsibility, positive governance team culture that refers to the norms, and then supportive structures and processes and protocols.
Does
And we're
anybody have
seeking
any
approval this
questions?
evening.
Any questions or comments? If not, can I get a motion to approve item 11E, approval of CSBA agreement for governance consulting services?
I'll make a motion to approve 11E, approval of CSBA agreement for governance consulting services.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? 0. Item 12A, board member reports and future agenda items. Mark?
Well, I do have to apologize. I am still not converted over to the Google email account, so be doing that with an IT ticket. And looking forward to hearing more about summer school and how that ends, or how it's progressing. That's about it.
Okay. Michelle?
I just want to thank Robert for your service, and we haven't gotten to work together very long, but congratulations on your retirement. I think you do a fantastic job of explaining what's going on and dumbing it down enough, but not too much that, you know. So thank you, and good luck on your retirement. We will miss you. That's it.
I'm going to pass because I was just going to say the same thing.
Say the same thing. Say it.
I already did. 12B, Superintendents Report.
Well, even though it's summer, we still have things going on, which is really exciting. We had the Joint Education Committee meeting earlier this month, and we had a presentation from Social Advocates for Youth, the SAY program, which provides temporary housing for students, for children, for youth 18 to 24, along with counseling and job training. So it was really exciting to learn about that program. We had a superintendent community of practice meeting where we're providing input, and we're working currently on developing professional development plan for superintendents, and this is going to take place at the end of July. So it's really quite an honor and a privilege to be asked my input, and it was a group of 4 superintendents, so it's really exciting. On the 14th, we had a summer school tour with Cassandra Abe, and we visited Tech Middle School and John Reed, and I want to thank Macy Jahola, a summer school principal, for escorting us and really telling us, informing us about the program and the collaboration between the Y and our staff. It was really exciting to see that program. Also, Tech Middle is very engaging. The kids are excited to be there, so that's really important to me. So, and I want to thank so many people for that, but under the leadership of Dr. Perez, who got us going in terms of summer school, so we're really appreciative of that. I also had the opportunity to attend, very exciting, the parent information session on our new virtual academy. CD is requiring that we offer a virtual option. I wrote virtual, a visual option for 2021. We had 30 parents in attendance. Interest forms are available on our Virtual Academy website, and I encourage any interested families to visit the website. It's very informative. And we're going to be having intake meetings for all interested families in August to develop a learning plan for each student. That's part of the requirement of the virtual option. And there's going to be more information sessions over the next weeks in both English and in Spanish. And I want to have a special thank you to the design team. And I want to say Lori Christ has been instrumental, Principal Lundy, Jenny Mason, Rachel Allen, Angie Scardina, and Mike Kirby. It's all about the team, and incredible. It's just incredible to see the work and the videos and everything that's gone on, and it's because of the power of the team and every individual doing their part. And again, I have Dr. Perez to thank for getting us going in this. So please visit the website. It's beautiful, and it's still under construction, but it's looking great.
It's really
and
cool.
Today we landed on a logo, so we do have a logo and branding for our
good.
Virtual Academy. We're really excited. And last but not least, a special thank you to Robert Markall for his years of service in Cotati-Bernard Park. He has done an outstanding job of ensuring that the district is fiscally solvent, and I'm very appreciative for that, particularly coming in this year. And I want to thank him for teaching me. And over the several months about CRP, he's been very patient as he taught me about the budget. And I have impressed people with my knowledge of the budget, and that's all due to Mr. Markall. And I want to thank you, and I will miss you in our meetings discussing money and numbers. Thank you.
Can we get the virtual academy? I'm trying to figure out the best way we could get the information out. The website looks great. I went and looked at it. It looks fabulous. Wondering if we could do something about the virtual academy on the billboard.
I know that I was thinking about that today. Now that we've got it branded, I'll work with the city to see if we can put an information flyer. We are working with our part-time consultant, Jill Wagner, and she's the one that developed the logo. So we're really excited about that. But we're pushing out the information, but I'll look into the billboard. That's a really good idea.
We could do a postcard to mailboxes, what that would cost, because I think that would be, new. I don't think anybody else has it right now. I think we're the first in Sonoma
We are.
County.
As a what?
Has a virtual academy.
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, I think it's us,
Yeah.
and I think we need to get the word. There's so many parents that say, I didn't know that, I didn't hear that, where was that information? So I'm trying to figure out, besides Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and our CRPUSD website, how could we get the information out to all the members of the community?
There's the Sonoma Family Life also.
There is, it's a good magazine.
And it's a magazine for Sonoma County families. They have a huge email database as well that is pretty inexpensive for you to run an ad through that. And they're really responsive and informative, so that's a way to get the word
Could you
out.
email that to
Yeah,
Myra?
I'll send it to
And then she could send it to all of us?
Yeah.
And if anybody else has any ideas too, that'd be great.
The other thing we've considered is contacting the Sonoma County Office of Education to see if they will put out the word. Since we have to provide this virtual option, it might be beneficial for us to offer that to other districts that may not have the capacity, smaller districts, and then we can borrow their children for the year and provide them that virtual option for those families that do not want to be in person next year.
Yes.
Does anybody have anything else?
No?
If not, we're going to adjourn this meeting.